today's video, I'm in the Frontier Mountains at the Giant Fort, and I just wanted to do a little bit different hunting area for me personally. I hunted here back when Everquest launched, or Cunark launched way back when, and I just never came back for whatever reason. My group configuration is Shaman, Magician, and Shadow Knight. I actually was at Nurga and tried it, and it just didn't work for my group configuration. It was just a little bit rough, and I would have preferred to have lull to split mobs, which I don't have. Root just isn't too great. But anyway, so I came here because it was pretty close to Nurga, and this worked out really well. And the loot here is pretty good too. There's some good cash drops here. I did get a forest loot, like one of my first giant kills was dropped a forest loot, which I wound up selling because it's like 266 platinum to a vendor. So I figured I probably couldn't do any better from a player, so I just went ahead and vendored it. So basically, my philosophy at this level is the rooting or not rooting. Tanking, healing, that kind of bit, I decided to kind of take a break from it. But I did make a macro for cannibalize to where I can just click it one time, it'll cast it twice, and after the second cast, Wodan, my shaman, will just sit right back down. So it just kind of automated a little bit for me. Mechanically, I'm not a big fan of cannibalize. I love the effect, it's just the mechanics of it, the stand up, sit down, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really do it for me. So I just kind of tried to automate it a little bit. And the way I'm working in this group is basically my Shadow Knight is using Disease Cloud to pull, which gives him like complete aggro, which pets, for some reason, if you keep pet taunt on, pets can actually take aggro even though, like for instance right here, my Magician's going to nuke for 300 odd damage and not pull aggro. But yet my Shadow Knight's level 9 pet can pull aggro, even though I've hit a mob, put Disease Cloud on a mob, and should have all kinds of aggro. So just an interesting little quirk on P2002. For some reason, pets can out-taunt Disease Cloud, which is very strange, but could be very useful too. But basically my tactic here is it's less about doing a lot of healing, and instead of doing slow and heal and the tank taking a lot of damage, I'm basically just pulling them and lighting them up. So basically I'm going left or right to left across my monitor here. So I pull using my Shadow Knight. When he gets back to the camp, my Magician has a macro going to assist, pet attack, and cast his Cinderbolt nuke. And then when I go to my Shaman's panel, he's going to assist and send pet to attack, and then I manually nuke because his evocation is low. And if you fizzle on a macro, the macro doesn't care or factor in that you fizzled. It'll just keep trying to run the macro and finish it out. So until his evocation is higher, I'm probably just going to have to click it myself. But the entire idea behind it is that instead of using mana to heal, I'm just basically burning mobs down before they have a chance to do very much damage to my Shadow Knight. And my Magician just dinged, and my Shadow Knight did actually too, at the exact same time. And my Magician is level 39 now, so he's got a new pet. The only pet I was really interested in was the fire pet. The air pet's good too because it has that stun, but it doesn't cast it often enough. If it casted it more often, I love the air pet, but as it is, it just has basically no hit points and doesn't stun often enough to justify it. But so I went and got the fire pet, which actually the fire pet, if I had to choose one pet to have all the time and have a focus item for, and have one for every level range, it would be the fire pet, hands hands down. I think anybody who plays a magician or starts on a new server, they look at the magician and fire pet because that damage shield is so good. And really, all you need is like a hit point buff, maybe, and a dedicated healer class, and that fire pet can work some real miracles for you. And I've actually never done a video about the power of the fire pet, but it is truly awesome. As you, even just as soon as you get pets from, and even now actually, these giants to my magician are very low blue. They're dark blue, but very low blue. But this fire pet will eat a low blue alive, no problem. Which I'll just go ahead and demonstrate here. I did put a hit point buff on it because I just felt like, 100 odd, 120 odd hit points is always good, whatever it is. And give him a little bit of burnout here. Got a dark blue, very, very almost light blue giant here. And that damage shield is just awesome. What's great about this level playing or having a nuker around is their nukes work like they should. I mean, he's at like 50% life, and once the nuke drops, he's well under 50%. But it just, just blows him up. And yeah, to me, that's how nukers, magicians, and wizards, especially wizards, that's how their spell should hit, and it should be a significant amount of damage all at one time. It should, they should be called nukers for a reason. It's just really unfortunate that at level 50 to 60, the direct damage spells just generally aren't optimal, unless you're fighting a raid target and you need to burn it down quick, and the next fight isn't an issue. There is no fight after whatever boss mob you're taking down, but unfortunately, yeah, but at this level, I would say nuking is at its peak. I remember plenty of times joining groups back in the classic days, and even after Kunark launched, and when I was playing my wizard, and I would nuke a bit aggressively, and pretty soon the enchanter would sit there and look at his full mana bar and go, "Oh, I can nuke too," and then the cleric or shaman would start nuking too, and pretty soon the tanks would be pulling and the mob would be around for like 4 seconds in camp because everybody was it was like a nuking competition. And obviously you burned out mana quick, but it would always be fun, especially if you had an enchanter for a little better mana regen, and people would just kind of start competing to see who could burn down the mob quickest. It actually reminds me of a raid we did in Mistmore one time. My guild did a raid in Mistmore, and it was the only time, well, it was definitely the first time I actually went to the very top of Mistmore and found out, what all was way back in there. This is obviously long before YouTube and people were posting videos, and, apart from still pictures, the only way to find out what was truly in these zones was to go there yourself, really. And I remember we had at least 20 people in our raid. And I was low enough level to get experience from the mobs in Mistmore, which I don't think there's very many above level 40 probably. But it was kind of cool just how there was, we just went from room to room, just basically clearing it out in our huge raid group. But there was a lot of nuking going on there too, and it was a lot of fun. Yeah, he just dropped a paradox. That's generally the cash loot is pretty good. They drop 1 to 2 platinum, sometimes more than 2 platinum, not much more. But on this server, it seems like the mobs are very well stocked as far as trash or vendor loot, whatever you want to call it. I've made quite a bit of money just off looting the mobs, and then I tell you what helps a lot if you're trying to make money as you level up is have a mage in your group. Because The mage is using the level 40 or level 34 bag summon, which is a 6 slot summon. Obviously, 100% weight reduction. Can't log out, but as long as you can gate, you can probably have no problem, you know, going back to town and emptying those bags. But yeah, it's really surprising when you just when you make room and weight isn't an issue. If you just loot whatever has any value at all and is worth taking back to a vendor, instead of just like ignoring the research pages or you know the kind of less valuable loot, just loot whatever you can. Obviously, you know, it really adds up. But anyway, I felt like I'd had enough of hunting here at the Giant Fort, and my mage and shaman are going to gate back to Plane of Knowledge, and my my Shadow Knight is going to have to hoof it, but he will have Spirit of Wolf and Levitate. It shouldn't be too bad. Plus, he can invis himself. But it sure would be great if he could gate back to town. But anyway, that's it for today. So there's just a little bit of a kind of an update on where I'm going, and hopefully I'll cross over 40 next week. Just depends on how much time I have to get on here and play. But anyway, that's all I got, and I'll be back.